James Aloysius Mills was one of the legendary foreign correspondents of his day. Born in 1883 in New York, he roamed the world from 1920 to 1940 for the Associated Press, covering, by his own count, 54 countries on 5 continents and 340,000 miles. An accomplished photographer, he carried a full complement of camera equipment, his typewriter, toothbrush, razor, and little else. The profession of foreign correspondent, he wrote, combined hard work and high romance, big moments and dull stretches of plodding, sheer luck and careful planning. Mills was hired by the AP in 1905 as an assistant to General Superintendent Charles Boynton. Later, he became confidential secretary to General Manager Melville Stone. When the United States entered World War I in April 1917, he was commissioned a major on the staff of the American Red Cross. After several months in Paris at Red Cross headquarters, he received an assignment that would shape his future, a 2-year relief expedition to survey the effects of war on the civilians of Europe and the Balkans. The costs of war were on full display. During the trip, Mills compiled 3 albums containing around 800 images made by him and other survey photographers. Mills returned to the United States in 1920. After a stint on AP's foreign desk, he launched his career as a foreign correspondent in London. He went on to serve as bureau chief in Moscow, Vienna, Bombay, and Tokyo. In Addis Ababa in 1935, on the eve of the Italian-Ethiopian War, Mills scored a world beat with a story that has largely slipped from view, an agreement between Emperor Haile Selassie and the Standard Oil Company, deeding much of Ethiopia to Standard Oil for exploration. The freshly signed contract was provided in the dead of night, exclusively to Mills and the London Daily Telegraph correspondent Sir Percival Phillips. On receiving Mills' dispatch, New York expressed grave doubt about the story's authenticity. In a panic, Mills raced to the telegraph office and wrote out his urgent reply, assuring New York that the details came straight from the executive who had negotiated the contract and that he had seen the signed original. That seemed to satisfy New York. The next day, he received a series of commendatory messages saying he had scooped the world. By Mills' own admission, Mahatma Gandhi was the most challenging and captivating public figure he ever covered. For almost 2 years, from November 1930 until mid-1932, Mills followed Gandhi as he sought to free India from British rule through acts of civil disobedience. The body of work Mills produced during that period introduced Gandhi to millions of people in the United States and around the world.
If England grants your demands, Mr. Gandhi, do you intend to have complete prohibition in the new Indian states?
Oh, yes.
Absolute prohibition?
Absolute.
And do you intend also, if India wins its independence, to abolish child marriages?
I should very much like to, even before.
If England does not grant your demands, are you prepared to return to jail again?
I am always prepared to return to jail.
Would you be prepared to die in the cause of India's independence?
It is a bad question.
Photographing Gandhi was not easy. While Mills had gained almost complete access to his subject, Gandhi had taken a solemn vow never to pose for a photograph. This was in keeping with his distrust of all modern machinery and a belief that posing for pictures was sheer vanity. It was no easy task for a photographer to break down this formidable barrier of prejudice on Mr. Gandhi's part towards being filmed, Mills wrote. But through gentle persistence, he did. Always, Mills continued, he maintained a curiously detached, impersonal, negative attitude towards my efforts to capture his features for the screen and for history. Mills' first extended interview with Gandhi occurred in January 1931. Acting on a tip that Gandhi was to be released from prison in Pune, in western India, Mills staked out the prison gates. After 96 hours, he recalled, he spotted a tiny fragment of humanity, shivering in the chill pitch-blue Indian dawn. In September of 1931, Mills accompanied Gandhi to the Second Roundtable Conference on Dominion Status for India in London. During their journey aboard the steamer from Bombay to Marseille, Mills took numerous photographs of Gandhi and shot thousands of feet of film with his Bell & Howell cameras. Gandhi had, by now, capitulated to Mills and often looked straight into the camera lens. When the Mahatma was arrested again in January 1932, Mills was with him. Gandhi turned to Mills and said, "It may be that I shall die in prison. It may be I shall never see you again. Therefore, I want to thank you and the Associated Press for the thorough and impartial way in which you have always reported my activities and the progress of the Indian nationalist movement." Months later, Gandhi was released. He was taken to a remote railroad station after midnight. Peering into the darkness, he saw a familiar face. It was Mills. Shaking his head in mock resignation, Gandhi exclaimed, "Why, Mr. Mills, if I should die and start to enter heaven, I should expect to see you waiting to interview me at the gates." Mills made several visits back to India to report on Gandhi, but was never stationed there again after 1932. Hearing of Gandhi's ill health, he returned in 1938 to see him. But Mills had been ill for some time himself and retired from the AP in June of 1940. While traveling with his brother in California, he died of a stroke on March 27, 1942, at age 58. It fell to Gandhi to pay tribute to his friend.